Y'all know what it is, it's the usual suspect 650-50 draw. Buy your tickets now for your chance at winning half the pot. Cash App, $, usual 50-50. Tickets are on sale for $10 for one, $20 for 3 tickets, and $50 for 10 tickets. Put your desired amount, name or alias, as well as your email address, and your tickets will be set. We announce the winning ticket numbers every other Friday on Supreme Beats Boxing Talk Bullshit on the Beltway, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Remaining proceeds will go directly to the LDBC meet and greet in Las Vegas. Shout out to the LDBC, and remember,
it's a usual suspect day.
Y'all know what it is, it's the Find the Boxer game. Purchase a box for a chance at winning $500. One of 54 boxes has a missing boxer inside. Purchase your box or boxes by Cash Apping, $, usual 50-50. Include your box number, name, and email address. Your box number will be confirmed and sent directly to your email. Each box is $20, with a 1 in 54 chance of winning. Remaining proceeds will go directly to the LDBC meet and greet in Las Vegas. Shout out to the LDBC, and remember,
it's a usual suspect day.
the best grooming products for you. That's all natural and handcrafted too. We wanna help be your swagger, style, class, and luxury. Make our products tailor-made for you with high quality. Yeah. So get in style with the black, yeah. Grooming company. To give you swagger, style, class, and luxury. In luxury, yeah. The black gentleman, yeah. Company. To give you swagger, style, class, and luxury. In luxury, yeah.
Located at www.theblackgent.com.
Yo. What's good? It's Stormybman, and I am back. Welcoming you to Answering the Bell with Stormybman, our Sunday morning call-in show for this Sunday, July 27th, 2025. This is number 172 in the series of call-ins, and we're just having a great time off of a break from talking boxing, but still there has been content appearing on my other channels, and we're gonna keep everything flowing. But we're back on the boxing tip starting this morning, and this particular call-in show, I got a subject in mind. Olexsander Usyk, an all-time great or no? This is a discussion that must be had because we don't want them folk, to get too far out of place, huh? We don't want them to let it go to their head. You remember that song? Don't let it go to your head, no. Yeah, we want that to be in full effect when we talk about all-time greats. And if someone out there doesn't understand how to determine that, we're going to get to the bottom of that this morning. Yeah. So we're going to talk about that. Not really interested in talking about anything outside of that because it's important. You see, a lot of times there are distractions. There are roadblocks, detours, diversions. And that's so that they can keep the game going, be at play. See, when you have a confused mind, you can make poor choices. But when we talk about clarity, where things are crystal clear to you, then you can assess properly. And as I was taught growing up, never forget about yourself. Never forget about yourself. And when you talk about community, don't put another above your own. Yeah. So, this subject of today, you should understand where we're coming from when we talk about this. You should understand. You take a moment to see who we got in the building with an early roll call, because I want to acknowledge some people. I ain't been on the scene for a few days for the boxing content, and I took a well-deserved hiatus because somebody might have made me lose my mind up in here, if you understand what I mean. You know what I mean? In the words of Champside, press one. Yeah, that brother Champside, he had me rolling, man. But yeah, sometimes you need to step back from some of the madness. Yeah, step back. So let's see who we got in the building this morning, man. See who we got. I want to do that proper thing and acknowledge my family out here. Some of y'all I ain't seen in a minute. Some of y'all been making yourself unseen, which is, it's okay. I understand. 5-0 be out there, and some of y'all ain't living properly. So you got to do what you got to do to keep yourself covered, huh? You got to do what you got to do, because a lot of times they'll come and get you. See, we got Rod Neal in the building. What's happening with you, Rod? Freedom's March, my brother, out there saying, yo, listen, Freedom March, you're doing good stuff, man. Them subjects and everything that you be coming up with, brother. Hey, listen, I be out there, man. Sometimes you be right on time with it too, because I either be working around the house or I'm on my way to work or something. You be on, and I could just do what I'm doing and just be listening. So continue to do what you do, and if you feel free, you can put your link to your channel in my chat out there to advertise, because I would like to get any of my supporters and followers who aren't hip to you. I like to encourage them to sign up there and subscribe to your channel, because you've got some great content going. Universal Truth is in the building saying salute Sensei in chat. What's good with you? Quan Big Guns is back saying salute Sensei, salute chat, salute to the mighty LDBC. Yes, sir. Good morning. Freedoms is also saluting the chat. EJ20 is out there saying big up Stormy B, man. What's happening with you? Quan says Usyk conquered the UK but not America. Sean Porter whooped Usyk. Yes, he did. Let the record show, like Claire Huxtable used to say on the Cosby Show, right? Let the record show. Yeah, that's what an attorney will do. Put it in your face, huh? Legal. Universal says, don't really think Usyk beat any all-time greats, but he is the best of the bunch fighting today. Very smart, intelligent comment there, Universal. You can tell you've been listening to Stormy B, man, out here, because that is about the most proper way to assess it. And I got a little something to add to it in just a moment. Mr. Shelton, LDBC or Nothing Reloaded, is in the building saying, yo, with the deuces. What's happening with you, Mr. Shelton? Quan says, we all know this era soft like cotton candy. All this Usyk greatest of all time talk is biased media nonsense. It's prejudice and bigoted. Don't forget those two words, Quan Big Guns, because you gotta hit them with your best shot. Yeah, prejudice and bigoted. Never forget to include those terms. Yeah. Says Lennox, Ali, Tyson, Holyfield, Bo, Sonny Liston, Ernie Shavers, Larry Holmes, Leon Spinks, Joe Frazier, George Foreman, and many others would beat Usyk. You think so? I kinda concur. Yeah. K-Rod is in the building. What's happening, K-Rod? You've been away for a minute, but you're back on the scene. What's happening with you? NBA D Nice is in the building. Let's see who else we got. Quan says Usyk whooping AJ, Fury, and Triple D getting to the Caucasian man's head. They talk like they started watching boxing yesterday. Usyk got nothing on the 70s fighters, nothing on the 90s fighters. Those 90s heavyweights, all of them. And many of them, after Mike Tyson went to jail, Riddick Bowe threw a belt in the garbage, and Lennox got knocked out by a former sparring partner of Mike Tyson. Belts got divvied up. And you saw an assortment of heavyweights out there. I'm talking about guys like Bruce Seldon, Oliver McCall, Tony Tucker, had belts. Francois Botha, Michael Moore, Ray Mercer, Tommy Morrison, I ain't even spoke about the top 90 names, did I? And I'm already putting people out there. George Foreman, at the age of 45, coming back to be the heavyweight champion of the world, the oldest heavyweight champion in history. What are we talking about here, Mr. Usyk? Can we sit down in class, and put you back in your place? Yeah, And if I'm not mistaken, he's only fought a few fights at heavyweight. You see? Yeah. And then, because he happens to share the same birthday as Muhammad Ali, almost as tall as Muhammad Ali was, had the same arm length reach, they're trying to equate? Are you kidding me? Ali conquered monsters. Monsters. What monster has Usyk conquered, people? What monster did Usyk go into a match where he had no way on God's green earth favor to defeat and came out superior? I'll let you leave that message in the chat when you get a moment. But if it never comes, don't worry about it, because it had never freaking happened. It didn't happen. Anthony Ingram was good. Curtis Price. Man, Curtis Price, where you been, brother? I miss my 1,000 amens from you, brother. You know, maybe that's why I've been having a hard time, because I haven't been able to get my 1,000 amens from you, You've been gone, brother. I need all the amens I can get, And I ain't preaching, but I do need prayer. Yeah! That's right. Learn is in the building. Yeah. Now, Freedom's March has put his link out there, you guys. So for those of you who haven't had a chance to subscribe to the brother's channel, please do so. The link is right there. Let me see if I can pin it up there for you. Let's see. Let's see here. I be trying to do this stuff, man. Sometimes I can get it, sometimes I can't, man. My fingertips is real bad. Let's see here. Let me see if I can pin this. Pin it. Okay, that I was able to pin Freedom's March link to the top of the chat there. For those of you haven't had a chance to subscribe to the brother's channel, there it is. Black Jericho in the building. What's happening? Freedom's March says, Jack Johnson, my all-time favorite, who I wrote a paper for and presented in my communications class, destroys Usyk. Yeah, some of the heavyweight contenders and lower status fighters of the 70s would demolish Usyk, You know, Ron Lyle, Jimmy Young, what was Ernie Shavers, Ken Norton. Shall I go for it? The Quarries, you know, Jerry Quarry. Yeah. You know, this is. See, I'm gonna tell you something, guys. The reason they want to get rid of books and things like that, they don't want you to be able to research and look things up for yourself. So you need to take advantage of the opportunities to look into history, so you won't be victimized by lack of knowledge for history, And that's not just according to boxing. That's according to your everyday life, brothers and sisters out there. Yeah, because they could tell you anything, They can erase stuff, and then you be talking about, well, I thought, no, it was always here. It was always like this. You know, he was the best guy.
you black guys, you all came behind him, but he was the one.
If you don't get the hell out of here with that foolishness. Yeah. Yeah, Freedom's March, they want to replace our greats so badly. In fact, when they talk about greats from history, they always talking about us, aren't they? They always comparing to our greats. They don't go back and tell you how great Gene Fullmer was. They don't go back and tell you how great Graziano was, or even, God forbid, Rocky Marciano, huh? Jack Dempsey. They don't go back and tell you about those greats, huh? They're like, oh, he's like Ali. He's the best I've seen since Ali. And Ali wasn't the only great. He was the greatest, but Joe Louis wasn't too damn bad, huh? Floyd Patterson wasn't too damn bad. Sonny Liston wasn't too bad. Jersey Joe Walcott, Ezra Charles, huh? Shall I keep going? Yeah. You see, this is foolishness, man. Foolishness. It abounds. But I'm here to bring the reins back in. You know why? Because it's necessary, huh? Yeah. I'm here to urinate on all that crap, huh? To make my mark out here. Yeah, to be horribly graphic on it this morning. Yeah, because you know how a dog will mark his territory. Well, this dog is marking the territory about the all-time greats, huh? You don't take somebody who is presently okay, and because of his contemporaries don't stop hearts, try to compare him and put him on a so-called freaking Mount Everest. If you don't get out of here with the foolishness. Has anybody tried to put Obama's face on Mount Everest? Has anybody bothered to try to put Trump's face on Mount Everest? Has anybody tried to put Biden's face, Bush's face on Mount Everest? Clinton's face on Mount Everest? You know why? Because there are levels of consideration. You see what I'm saying? Am I crystallizing it for you? So Usyk beat up a couple of fair heavyweights of today, but who amongst them was a monster? Tell me. I'll listen to you. There are no monsters today. None. I keep trying to bring it to fruition so people can see, because we got a lot of people that are dropouts, man. A lot of people didn't finish their education. A lot of people didn't continue their education or further it, huh? Because of life got in the way, huh? Sometimes people had to go to work and take care of family, take care of self, take care of issues. Sometimes people went away and weren't able. But there should always be somewhere where you can get the source, huh? That's right. Don't ever forget that. Seek and he shall find. Remember that. Yeah. We got a Cash App donation here. Let me check it out. See who we got. The Brothers Freedom's March. We appreciate it. He say, man, Cook. Yeah, thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much for your donation to the channel, man. and your support, because I'm supporting you as well. You're doing great stuff, and that's how we should be, huh? We should be as a unit, huh? Unified. Yeah. Hold the line. That's the way it needs to be. See what else we got out here. He says, I had no idea you can throw that voice out there like that. Listen, man. I am a man of many, many different talents, brother. And there are times when I can go into that, and then there are times that I keep it on the level. But always know I ain't to be played with. But I know how the game is played. Yeah. See, most people don't realize it's a game at all. They just realize that, oh, I'm a part of this system. There are pieces on this board, and I feel like I'm being moved in directions that I don't want to go. Become the master of the board. Don't become a chess piece on the board, man. Yeah. Champion Heart, my brother's out there. He says, salute to Sensei Stormy and family in the chat. What's going on with you, Champion Heart? Champion Heart is a brother out there. He got a channel, Cooking with the Champ. Champion Heart, put your link in the channel in the chat, please, so people can subscribe to that, because you be having going on with the cooking, the food. I be sitting up there salivating. I'm like, you know what? I still got to do another. I got to do another show on the food, because I haven't done one in a while, but it's gonna be on my other channel now. Who else? Black Jericho says, please do. K-Rod says, the foolishness in today's boxing world is that people justify the ignorance of fighters to be immature, not fighting the best and acting like they're good. It is really something, man. It is really something. And I'm going to tell you something. This thing, talking about Usyk, I have to say to you guys, did you see how easily he beat Fury in 2 fights? And did you see, and Fury complained right after the second fight, oh, I should have got the decision. No, you shouldn't. You couldn't beat that guy who was 6'3.5" and 225 pounds. But you said no man born of his mom's VJJ can defeat you, huh? Well, he did it twice. And in the first fight, he had you knocked around pillar to post, and they saved you just like they saved you against Wilder, huh? And kept you alive and thriving in the bout. But you're garbage, Tyson Fury. You are garbage. And you're a drug cheat, huh? The true Gypsy King. Cheater, huh? Scammer. Your road is done. You couldn't beat this guy. Sean Porter beat this dude in the amateurs, huh? Yeah. You can't even beat a little middleweight. What'd you call him? Run, rabbit, run, rabbit. Yeah. That rabbit ran all over your ass, you big lurch goofy. Sit your ass down somewhere. People are, is he gonna come back? Is he gonna? We don't want him back. For what? Him, his dad, his cousin, his uncle, all of them. Nothing. Garbage. See, the only thing going for him is people in the UK, they embrace the sport of boxing and all the fighters wholly, especially if you're from there. And you know what? That's understandable. But Fury is a POS. Always has been, always will be. Remember, he should have been knocked out by Wilder in the very first fight in that 12th round. But it was Jack Reese who cheated. And how about this? If Wilder wasn't all of that, why y'all making statues when Fury cheated him in the second fight? We made a statue celebrating Fury standing over him and all of that. But Wilder wasn't supposed to be anything. So what are you making statues for? For what? If Wilder was nothing, he wouldn't even fight your other homegrown child in AJ. The two of them, fraidy cats, shivering in corners, looking at the other, afraid to see each other. And now that they're beyond anything of worthiness, people are like, oh, it's the fight that must be made. Are you freaking kidding me? Serve both of those fools up to Moses Atuma. Huh? That's great stepping stones and vitamin for him. Because their days are done. AJ's day is done. Fury's day is done. Get the packing. Freedom Mars says those guys fought in dozens of rounds per fight, some of them, and dozens of times a year, with horsehair gloves outside 100 degree weather and 99% humidity. No way Usyk can hang. Listen, man. Just because his country is under conflict and everything, it doesn't disturb my view and outlook of what he has done in the ring as a fighter. There is no monsters on his list. None. Even at cruiserweight. Tony Bellew, he was a monster. Maris Breedis is probably the closest to a monster, but you see what Jai Opataya did to him, even with a broken jaw in one fight. So where are the monsters? Where is King Kong? He don't exist. AJ's King Kong? No. Chaz Witherspoon is King Kong? I don't think so. Derek Chisora? He might look like him. Huh? Daniel Dubois? Son of Kong. Yeah. So what are we talking here? What? Kamara is stepping razor in the building. What's happening, bro? Black Jericho says Usyk beats up a slow dude in class. All of a sudden, he's the best to ever do it. We always have to do 1,000 times more for recognition. Yeah. And even Deontay Wilder, after being cheated and everything, will still get in there and fight the top guys. Parker and Zhilei Zhang with injuries and everything, never complained, went out there and took those guys. Where are the other guys fighting those guys? Do you guys realize that Joseph Parker was supposed to face Zhang in a rematch? It was in a contract. He let the contract rematch expire, and then now he's pushing so hard that it's his time for a title shot. Somebody called Joe Joyce on his ass. Freedom's Mars says, my mom lives in the Shire, Stormy. Okay, that's cool. He says, word, they don't even understand they own the board. My other channel is Stormy B Man's Kung Fu Temple and Entertainment. And my third channel is Stormy B Man's Temple of Culture and Entertainment. So I got two other channels. I can't pull them up right now because my laptop is doing some funny things, and if I try to pull up too many more screens, the memory is going bad on it and everything. It'll shut my show down. I ain't trying to do that. But if someone else is subscribed to the other channels that I have, please post the link in the chat for me so that if anyone's interested. I haven't put it in my queue. That's why I can't do it like that right now. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I just thought of a way I could do it. Let me see here. Let me see. I think I just thought of a way to do it. Freedom's March. You see, I'm not good at all this kind of stuff. I be learning as I go, man. I just thought of a way. Let's see here. Do-do-do-do. There we go. And it's in my description box too. Freedom's March. It's in my description box. Cause I get too carried away and I be done messed up everything. Okay, Universal, thanks, bro. I'm a little slow. I thought about, oh, I could do it this way on my phone. I was thinking about doing it on my laptop. So I'm like, you know, I told you guys, Stormy be trying to figure stuff out, man. But I can still talk my game up here, you know. Hey, listen, the call-in lines is open, man. Ain't nobody called in yet. Call in. Let's have a discussion about this all-time great or no. Because that's what today's subject is here. And I'm going to tell you something. He's not. Huh? He might be the best of these contemporaries of today, but that's not saying a lot. It's not. You got the two guys who you would consider under him, Fury and AJ. They didn't even fight all the guys they were supposed to fight. Did AJ fight King Kong Ortiz? Did AJ fight Zili Zhang? Philippe Hergovic? Did Tyson Fury fight King Kong Ortiz or Zili Zhang or Philippe Hergovic? Tyson Fury didn't even fight Joseph Parker. In fact, he pulled him in his camp and became his friend. He pulled that old Shakur Stevenson mess. We're brothers. We're happy and we're happy. Man, get out of here. Chump. I tell you, man, there's a whole lot of foolishness with these dudes, man. Salute to EJ out there with that Cash App donation. He says, keep on cooking, Sensei. You got the ninja sword. You better believe it, man. Thank you so much for your support, brother. But that's exactly what I do, man. I try to bring some level-headedness to this foolishness, man. They be out here trying to pass these narratives. And what's worse is the big channels. The big channels be out there talking all this crap, kissing butt, and all of that. I can't do that, man. No. No. And then they be out there, when I go live, they won't come around and acknowledge that they figured out who I am or whatever. So they be out there looking at their screen like this when I'm live, huh? Looking at me. Yeah, Champion Heart put his link to his channel out there too. So if you guys haven't subscribed to the cooking channel for Champion Heart, please do so. Yeah. Jonathan Simon in the building. He says, Stormy B man, blessings and salute. Right back at you, brother. Right back at you. NBA D Nice says, preach, sensei. Well, you know, I'm going to tell it like it is. It might hurt some feelings. It might make them mad. But they can scratch their behind and all of them can get glad. Because I don't care. I don't. Somebody was asking Tim Bradley yesterday, was he sad? You know, how he felt. You know, that was the last of the ESPN top ranked shows and everything. He started invoking the Lord in it. Oh, well, God is, you know, he's going to guide me and this and that. Listen, man, I'm so glad your ass is off the air. Sit down somewhere. Milk dud head fool. You out there talking this foolishness out there. Spreading dissension and keeping confusion going when you know better. But I guess you don't, because Provodnikov must have knocked on any of the sense that you had, possibly, out of your head, huh? I ain't forgot, what was it, 6 to 8 to 9 months that you was up there and you were walking around in delirium? After trying to stand in and fight that man's fight, he almost took you up out of here, you dummy. Black Martial Arts Society, I see you out there, bro. Hold on, K-Rod says he tried to call. Sometimes I have to refresh it, K-Rod. Hold on. Let me see here. Every once in a while I have to refresh it. Okay, I refreshed it now. It should be working fine for anybody that want to call in. Okay, we got 347 in the building. I believe that's my brother. That's Drew Titan out there. What's happening, man? Yeah, I can hear you. Hold on a second. I'm going to increase my volume on my phone. Hold on a second here. Let's see here. Okay, say something now, Drew. Yeah, I hear you. What's good with you? Yeah.
Look, man, I go about this as soon as it ending. And I had to clarify what I said about Olexsander Usyk. Is he great? Yes, by today's standards. But what are today's standards?
Right.
And then you have the answer. You know what I'm saying? You know, standards today is people don't live by anything. For example, a heavyweight being on the top pound. What is that? You understand? I even saw a pound for pound list in the magazine or something. I can't remember what it was, but they factored in revenue generating, not necessarily earned, revenue generating. They factored that in on the pound for pound list. And I saw AJ and the criticals on it. It's like, what am I reading here? So the criteria and the expectations of these fights today have changed.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second, Drew. Are you on speaker or are you on a Bluetooth?
I'm on Bluetooth. I'm on Bluetooth.
Is it possible to take it off of the Bluetooth, because the people are saying they can't hear you very well? I'm hearing you fine, and I've even increased the volume, and I can hear you in my feedback fine on my earpiece, but they're saying that they can't hear you.
That's gonna be rough because I'm driving. driving.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna be rough driving.
Okay.
Oh boy. Is there a way I can call you on your phone and you can just hold it to the mic? That'd be better. Hold the phone to the mic.
Yeah, we could try it that way. We could try it that way.
All right. So give me 1 second. I'll call you on your phone again.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
1 second.
Now Drew is gonna call me on his phone, and I will try to put him on so you guys can hear him. That way, we'll see. I'm gonna take my little earpiece off. Let's see. Hold on. Okay, I'm sorry, Drew. I was clearing it. Let's see. Go ahead and call me again, Drew. Hello.
All right.
Yeah. Now, I want to ask the chat. Can you guys? I got Drew on my speakerphone. Can you guys hear him? Go ahead and say something, Drew.
Testing. 1 2 1 2. Testing 1 2. Can you hear me? The chat hear me?
Can you guys in the chat hear him? I'm just waiting for somebody to respond in the chat that they can hear you.
Okay. Sometimes the Google phone, depending on what your connection is, can be a little difficult.
Yeah. Okay, they say they can hear you better now. So go ahead and cook, brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, what I was saying was the criteria of greatness today has significantly changed. And there's no getting around that. The expectations of the fans have changed. Now, you and I, we're very different. So we have what we call basic expectations. Separate yourself from the pack by fighting contemporaries. And notice I said fighting them. You don't necessarily have to win all your fights. Just fight them. You know, and with that, you know, you build a resume, and you know, fame is that's negotiable. But when you hang up your gloves, you basically, your resume speaks for itself.
Right.
You know, and the money will come. You know, that's what a lot of businesses involved. But we're in a time now where the greatness is measured by different things. Like I was saying earlier, I saw pound for pound lists where they factored in the fighters' revenue generated, not necessarily what they made, but generated. Oh, this sold millions of pay-per-views and everything else. And it's like, I don't understand how that's a criteria. So when you look at Olexsander Usyk, and wasn't necessarily a pay-per-view star. And shout out to Turkey Al-Sheikh for killing pay-per-view. He's going to do his best to kill it. I like that because he's going to disarm that argument. You know, money, revenue generated. You know, you guys got to remember the reason why, well, one of the reasons that Eddie Hearn used to keep AJ away from Deontay Wilder was, who was he? No one knows him. And AJ sells out Wembley Stadium, and Deontay can't sell out Alabama. And it was very disrespectful. And all we were saying is, look, AJ's unified. Deontay has the last piece of the puzzle. Let them fight. May the best man win. I'm riding with my guy. You guys ride for AJ for whatever reason, but let's make the fight. And we never got the fight because of foolishness. But what we deem as foolishness, y'all deem as basic behavior. While I'm talking about resume and fighters fighting their contemporaries, you guys are talking about chrome hearts, braids, and tattoos. You understand? And when we go to Usyk is a phenomenal fighter by today's standards. When you talk about what he may have done on our brother VFTV show, they had a little a debate, fantasy debate. Fantasy UFC fights are just fun conversations to me. I'm not going to have a debate about who would win between George Foreman and Olexsander Usyk. Because number one, it'll never happen. Number two, I'm not arguing with somebody that was born in 1989 over there. And all you know about George Foreman is a bunch of highlights. I'm not doing it. It's different. And of course, you know, I'm listening to it like it's a fun conversation, but there was two George Foremans. There was a young George Foreman and the older George Foreman who had, for some reason, better stamina, which was wild to me. But this is where we at with this situation. Olexsander Usyk is great, but what are the standards? Now, Usyk does have a really good resume at the heavyweight division. But I also want to factor in there's a lot of things, a few things that he didn't do. And there was things that Deontay Wilder, for example, tried to do. And some of the things that he was somewhat forced to do. And he didn't get extended the same courtesy that Olexsander Usyk was extended. And we know what we're looking at. And this isn't, it's not Usyk's fault that he was born white and born in the Ukraine. It's not, none of this is his fault. But when I talk about, you hear me say this a lot, extended courtesy, they're putting him on this pedestal where Deontay was trying to do everything that Usyk was doing, and they cut him down for it. Then they said he couldn't do it. You understand? And they put him in a trick bag to where his career went in that direction where it went into. They set him up for failure. They cheated him. They poisoned him. Usyk, that'll never happen to Usyk. You know? So when I did my video on my post-fight saying, yo, man, the man's great by today's standards, y'all didn't even realize what I was saying. Because what I'm saying is the bar it's not low, it's mediocre. Because Usyk is a fighter, and he knows how to win, and he's proven that. But the bar is subpar. So today's standards is not as high as it was in the 90s, damn sure in the 80s, and in the 70s, forget about it. The bar is subpar. I'm not going to say it's low, because Usyk has racked up some really good wins. But I need y'all to remember, the Tyson Fury you saw in his last 3 fights, that's really him. That's really him. When he went to Saudi and Tristan Ngannou knocked him on his ass, that was really him. And people wondering what the hell's going on. Yeah, he's not on drugs, and he had a real camp drug-free. And then he got in there with Usyk, and Usyk almost knocked him out in the first fight, and then just outboxed him in the second fight. Fairly easy. And it makes you wonder, what happens if Fury was clean when he fought Wilder 3 times? Makes you wonder. So the bar's so low, but no one's going to question that. So I know what we're dealing with. I'll land the plane right there, so you go ahead.
No, what I wanted to say is, you know, like when I spoke of him not fighting any monsters, he hasn't.
Yeah.
There are no monsters in today's heavyweights. There are none. None.
Well, Ortiz was a monster.
Well, he was perceived to be a potential monster, but when we saw him in against Wilder pretty much handled him, didn't he? So, but everybody else didn't fight him. So only Wilder fought him, and Wilder fought him twice. So I can't accredit him being a monster when Wilder exercised that demon twice. But see, that's in favor of Wilder because he fought the man. AJ ran from him. Fury ran from him. You know that Usyk would have never thought to try to fight him. So it's like, come on. And that's a guy that goes back actually to the Klitschko era. Because King Kong Ortiz was up there in the top 5 when Klitschko had the belts as a unified titleist. So when I'm talking about these things, I'm speaking very soundly. Listen, in the 90s, we had heavyweights like Lou Savarese, Franz Botha, and Tommy Morrison. Those were Caucasian heavyweights that would give Usyk all he can handle. All 3 of them. All 3 of them. Tell me I'm wrong.
Francois was tough, man. Francois Botha was tough. Lennox Lewis damn near had to kill him to stop him. Tommy Morrison, the Duke, that left hook, if he caught you clean, man, you was going to bed. And Usyk Reese, there was no quitting that man. Salute to him, man. These guys, they weren't the greatest, but they were durable, and those guys could fight. Absolutely.
Yeah.
They would have gave, not to say they would have beat Usyk, but they'd have gave Usyk a hell of a time. A hell of a. I think Tommy Morrison would have put up a better fight than AJ did. Because AJ don't have a real big ring IQ, man. He really doesn't.
AJ's development was stunted after he got the belt off of Prince Charles Martin. His growth stunted. That trainer, Joe Gallagher, I think his name was, that was working with AJ. He had him on a very nice trajectory. He was, AJ was coming up. Remember, the old AJ used to throw punches in bunches, combinations, and his most devastating shot was the uppercut. Well, that guy stopped after he got those titles. That growth stopped, development stopped, and then he just became a marketed money-making machine for Matchroom and the Hearns. And see, that's what people don't want to say, but we witnessed it. We were here for it all. On the flip side, Wilder began to fight other guys, but they made sure that they kept him out of consideration for unification to become undisputed. You see, that was the thing. And I was telling someone just yesterday to watch the play. I said, you got to watch what's happening down the distance, not what's right in front of you. They made sure that they angled these fighters who were the threat to be possibly undisputed. They railroaded them. And they made sure that when they did have an undisputed battle, it was two Caucasian fighters fighting for the title. They did that. Now, if you don't understand politics and the way that things happen, well, somebody said, well, how does that happen? It happens because while they're moving the pieces, you're not paying attention to it. You have people who sell out. You have people who will align themselves. You have people who will lay down. You have all of these things mixed up in with the people who really want to fight for it. The two who really wanted to fight for it, they diffused them. Wilder, over here on the U.S. side of the lands of soil of boxing, and AJ, who was really ignorant and not in the know about how those folks work. Because by sidetracking AJ, what they did was they took away the aspirations to be undisputed, right? It's like, I want to be the best in the world. I want to be the man. Okay. Does anybody ever think of it like this? When AJ was originally supposed to fight Big Baby Miller popped dirty. That was probably the best thing to happen to AJ because Miller possibly could have won that fight at that time. But when Ruiz comes in, AJ loses to Ruiz. Does anybody think that there's a possibility that Ed Hearn and Matchroom had a boatload of money bet against AJ behind the scenes against Ruiz? Does anybody think like that? But doesn't that sound like how these people work?
Sell out their own. They'll eat their own babies.
Yeah. But check this out. Not only did AJ lose that fight, but they scheduled a rematch. Where was the rematch fought?
Middle East.
Right. Right. Now, fought there, but how were the training circumstances for Ruiz? He had a lot going on, didn't he?
Sure did.
So they bet halfway and halfway. They bet on AJ. They got to win the title back. Then they bet on Ruiz to retain the title. But that was just kind of like throwaway money. So AJ wins the money back. They convince him to sign a lifetime deal with them. A lifetime deal. Now remember, he turned down the opportunity for a then record $50 million guarantee to face Wilder for undisputed. They kept the belts in their graces. Okay? They played with the fans. In the meantime, as you watch these things unfold, AJ could not even beat Olexsander Usyk, which he should have been able to do. The AJ who had beat Prince Charles Martin and was on that upward trajectory, fast hands. He was like really trying to, do some things and aspire to be the best and this and that. See, the guy that faced Usyk wasn't that guy anymore.
That's right.
He wasn't that guy. But guess who Usyk never looked to fight? Wilder.
Deontay.
Because Wilder, even though he had what happened to him happen, he still was the same man. He still was the same committed, challenging fighter. He would go in there and he would try to win. He would try to. So you notice Usyk stayed away from him. He stayed away from him. Even when he talked about coming to, even when he was talking about coming to Wilder's fight against Helenius and everything, he didn't show up or whatever.
Yup. He didn't show up. We was waiting on him. I called my buddy Vitaly. I said, your man Usyk is going to be in New York. He said, oh yeah, let me know. I translate. And he called me throughout the day. He said, is he here? I said, I don't know. So we was looking for him, and then I looked online, stopped short of Brooklyn, landing in California. And I said, what's he doing there? I thought he was going to come here and do a stare down, and he just never made it. And then when Radio Raheem asked him, hey, what's up with Deontay? After him saying that Deontay was the easiest of the bunch, so when he was asked what about a fight with Deontay, he says no. He said, why? His answer was because. That was his answer, because. And it's easy to say that Usyk beats Deontay now, but the good old-fashioned styles make fights. You guys really don't understand that. Deontay Wilder brings a different set of tools to that ring, which is why you're really not supposed to do triangle theories. But Deontay brings a separate set of tools that will give him issue. Now, I'm not even saying that Deontay, I'm going on a limb. I'll say that Deontay knocks Usyk out.
No, check this out, though. Check this out. This is we don't want to get into who wins and stuff. What we need to focus on is why things are the way they are. See, because I want to take it back just a moment, and for anybody out there, because I think let's see who is. I'm looking in the chat. Salute to Coach Hudson who's come out there. Appreciate you. Isaiah GQ says sounds like a Netflix special. Listen, there's no jokes with this because I'm going to say this to remind people. If you don't believe what I'm saying can be a reality, do you not remember the conversation between Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez when Teofimo told Devin to his face in front of cameras that they had a meeting and that they were going to tie the belts up so Devin would be locked out of an opportunity toward getting a chance to become undisputed?
That's right.
Teofimo told that in front of the people. But see, you all get too caught up and distracted by the foolishness of other things. If they had that talk about those two small lightweights, what in the hell do you think they're talking about for the heavyweight division?
There you go.
It had been 20 plus years since Lennox Lewis, the last undisputed fighter at the heavyweight division, who whooped a white man in his last fight. So you all don't think that they didn't want to see another black undisputed heavyweight champion that would continue to show what Larry Holmes had said to them. As long as black fighters are fighting the way they are, there won't be a white heavyweight champion. So what did they do? They robbed you of it by cheating.
That's right. Come on now.
I'm telling you guys the truth. You don't have to like it. You don't have to support it. I'm telling you the truth.
That's right.
And you look at the two men who could have done that. It was only down to Wilder and AJ. And they sidetracked both of them. and they had you all betting and warring against the other instead of embracing a great opportunity for an undisputed title fight between a fighter from the UK and a fighter from the US, and you guys pick sides and start arguing like you're doing with Brian Norman Jr. and Devin Haney right now.
Come on now.
You freaking imbeciles. You don't understand what's best for everything. I told you how many times I said, love the sport and not the individuals.
Say it every day.
Every day. But like I said, even when the truth slips through the cracks and slaps you in the face, you don't want to hear it. Teofimo showed you years ago with that conversation in front of the cameras with Devin. And he's doing it again right now.
Mr. Cole, thank you. This boy, it pains him to break bread with a black fighter. If y'all don't get that by now, and I don't know if let me park here for a second, but it's all relevant. Super Martinez is a black Puerto Rican. Whether he did it for black power or not, the fact is, he did it because he was disrespected. The fact that he is black is just, insult to Tio's injury. You understand? That's just insult to his injury. You understand? So he won't be disrespected. But so now, I don't know if he's going to do the Matias thing, and Shakur done called him out, and and then he took the $11 million, the last fiasco. You guys support Teofimo Lopez at this point is an extreme, sad state of affairs, man. This boy don't want to fight nobody. This boy don't want to break bread with nobody darker than him. That's just what it is. Call it what it is. I play that clip every time I speak on this dude. It was a conspiracy by the WBO and WBC, and they did not mean for him to say that out loud, that they were going to freeze Devin Haney out. And that was back in 2018. We are now in 2025, and that year is almost over. The final straw was there was $11 million on the table for this man to fight Devin Haney, and it got so bad that Punch Drunk had to call him out, and they're friends with each other in real life. Punch Drunk chose boxing over this nonsense. He had to, y'all. Now, when that happened, all you remaining Teofimo Lopez fans, y'all look, it's time for y'all to abandon ship. Really is. Because y'all are telling me everything I need to know about you. Which ain't much. It ain't much. Time reveals all truth. I told y'all. So what's he doing next? Superdale? Devin? What's he doing next? Shakur? No. He don't even want to run it back with, what's his name from Spain? Who's the Spaniard? They had him ask if he's still at it. I'd like to see that again. Why not? So what is he doing?
Sandor Martin,
yeah. So come on now. That guy's done. That boy don't want to fight anymore. If you want to apply ducking to anybody, that's another thing. I don't see a lot of noise. You guys, y'all want to talk about what Devin's doing and he's ducking. If you want to apply the term duck to anybody, it's Teofimo Lopez. I just don't see it. He's not getting the same smoke. Even after the racist outburst, I mean, I understand some of you guys. Wait a minute. I stand myself corrected. I do. There's certain things that are reserved for a certain demographic. There goes that word again. A certain demographic of people. So I know exactly what's going on. And you guys have been thoroughly exposed. Since y'all like using that term exposed, you've been thoroughly exposed. And you guys who are hopping on this bandwagon of, look, what's going on between, I didn't want to go there. I want to take the show in that direction. Usyk, greatness. By today's standards, yeah, he's great. But the bar is subpar. We have a subpar bar. Bars. We have a subpar bar. So, there you go. And, that, and they also rolled out the red carpet. Do you remember when I said that I think that they were setting the table for Vasily Lomachenko to be undisputed at 135?
Yeah.
I said that, but, God steps in and says, hey, man, he steps in and he says, "Hey man, your back is hurt, so you gotta go sit your ass down." But I honestly believe that they were setting the table for him to do that.
Yeah, they were trying. They were really trying to angle the. They were trying to angle the path for him to, go out as an undisputed champion. But a couple of things threw a wrench in that, and one of the things was Devin Haney. The second thing was when you had a talent like Shakur come up to the division, but he got in the way. You see, because Vasil didn't want to fight him either.
No, he didn't.
And he didn't want to fight Tank, but he felt like he could take a chance with Tank because I think he could see what we always saw about Tank that everybody is now finding out about Tank. Tank is a mental midget, and he felt like he could use some experience and everything to get over on him, which is one of the reasons why Floyd was never in a hurry to put him in the ring against someone like Vasil.
You're right. You knew what he was dealing with.
But to summarize it all is that I'm going to say this, and people may not like it, but it's very true. In order for these people to be able to compete and be a part of this is where the PEDs come in and all of that stuff, because ordinarily they cannot compete. They cannot. They don't have the size, strength, endurance, spirit, ability overall, agility, and athleticism to be able to last over duration in this sport this way. So PEDs help a great deal of those guys to be able to just be in the mix of things. That's why it's so prominent. That's why they don't really do the type of penalty that should be meted out when someone pops and everything, because they're trying to keep other men involved in the sport. And that ranges across some of the Eastern Europeans. It ranges across some of those guys out of the UK and Australia. It comes from Ireland and all of that. And these guys ordinarily wouldn't be there. And it's a shame. It's a shame because nobody wants to say that. But I'm saying it because it's true.
Let's elaborate on that. See, a lot of these cats, they weren't around in the 90s, Storm. You remember the Klitschko invasion? HBO? Remember that whole European invasion?
Yeah, HBO? Absolutely.
The Golovkins, the Klitschko boys, what's his name?
Triple G.
I actually think Triple G. What's the guy that knocked out Danny Jacobs again? I liked him, though. He was pretty nice with him.
Yeah, but...
What's that?
And check this out. They actually tried to say Triple G was better than Marvin Hagler, bro. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like, but think about that. Hagler, when you mention his name in the sport of boxing, and everybody knows if they are real, true boxing aficionados, what Hagler had to deal with and whom he had to go through to arrive at a point of becoming a world champion. He fought some of the guys who kept other people from becoming world champion. That's how good those guys were. And some of them he fought a couple of times. You know what I'm saying? So when he finally became world champion, then it was people that didn't want to fight him. They were trying to say, oh, well, he's a southpaw and this and that or whatever. Who's turning down title shots? It's because they weren't good. And they didn't have a method of cheating and everything like they do now. You got all these chemists and designer drugs in the sport of professional sports that allow people to be able to compete. If you don't think it's a real, go check Lance Armstrong and his record book.
Stormy, let me say this. Larry Holmes made a statement about a black champion in the 80s, right? Wanna know how he's right years later? Whenever they try to bring up these white guys, no matter what part of the globe they're on, why they always compare them to black fighters? Uh-oh. That's my Uncle Pickles right there. Whoa!
Yep.
Comparing black fighters. You know what I'm saying? Triple G, Marvin Hagler. They don't think that, whenever they Usyk, they immediately got Usyk in there with Ali. I'm like, what are y'all doing? Wait a minute. Why not Rocky Marciano?
Yeah, why not go back and talk about Jake LaMotta or somebody? You heard me say earlier in this show, I said Gene Foreman, and those guys. Those were very good fighters too, but they don't do that. They hop, skip, and leap over those fighters to go right after our black stars. Our black stars.
Now, Larry Birch, he would be doing his people a better service after the Deontay Wilder debacle when he was cheated. He sat on that couch. Why didn't he say Rocky Marciano or Jack Dempsey or Jake LaMotta? Why didn't he do that? Why didn't he do that? You know why? Because he couldn't. Because he know what excellence is. He knows that. All you gotta do is let these guys talk. I hope you guys in the chat understand. Just let them talk. Let them talk. That European invasion, that was the closest thing they could get to a white champion. And I never heard anyone ask about Vitaly Klitschko or Vladimir Klitschko's pay-per-view sales. That was not even a conversation in the mid 90s. Nobody cared.
But hold on. Check this part out. When Klitschko brothers, the two of them, when they got to be really good, because they had suffered a loss here and there, right? But when they got to be really good and were starting to show some dominance, who was their coach? There's that Uncle Pesos again, right there. Huh?
There you go.
You see?
Changed it all up. That's right.
Who was their coach? See, you can't get away from this stuff, man. You can't get away from it.
There's nowhere to go. When you sit down and analyze it, there's nowhere to go. There is nowhere to go. And what's going on with back injuries in these Ukrainians? Yeah, Loma, who had to hang it up. And Tag Storm, I always forget this guy's name. That knocked out Daniel Jacobs. I was watching it that night.
Yeah, I can't think of his name either, but I remember.
His name. The chat probably said his name. But he was nice.
Dimitri Pirog.
Dimitri Pirog.
Thank you, Thomas. Thomas from the Bronx. Put that in the chat.
Salute, Thomas. Now, he was a problem. That was the guy. He was going to smoke Triple G. His lateral movement was too good. That guy was a problem, but he hurt his back. And that was the end of that. Now, Dimitri Pirog was a problem. Now, I already know what they would have did with him. They'd have hopped on him and they'd have had him in there better than Marvin Hagler. See, a lot of this is not the fighters, it's the public. And HBO was big fan. The great white hype train was on it. They loved watching Rusev Provodnikov beat up on Tim Bradley. They loved that. And he didn't even win that fight. But he was getting a lot of shine. They loved watching Ricky Hatton. The Klitschko's numbers, low-key, was so bad. In the States, they had their fights, but they had to fight over there in Germany. You know what I'm saying? They weren't talking about, who's pay-per-view and this, that. They didn't get that. That is never a question. They go home and HBO in. And salute to Coach Hudson, because Clarissa Shields made a lot of history. And listen, man, I know I have the things about her. She's not perfect, but I'm choosing not to shine a light on that, because I just want to talk about the great that she's doing, not the good, the great that she's doing. She's everywhere. She's showing up to press conferences. For other fighters, she is showing up to the fights, and the least these brothers could do is extend her the same courtesy. Show up to the fights. I don't know if they're calling her on the phone saying you're good luck queen or whatever. They need to do that. And the fact that they came out and sung the Black National Anthem last night, come on, bro. She is setting a standard. And meanwhile, you fair-weathered Negroes with your bumpy knuckles dragging on the ground, y'all too busy fighting amongst each other. Y'all are so stupid. I'll land my plane right there. Listen to me. I'm on the road driving. I'm gonna get back in the chat, Stormy. I'm sorry. No show tonight because I'm on the road.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna talk to you. I'm gonna tell you when I get to my destination.
Okay. And safe travels to you, bro. I appreciate your call, man. Thank you so much.
No doubt, brother.
All right.
Yes,
Peace.
sir.
All right. As the brother Drew Titan calling in, we had to make it work out, because we have some issues sometimes with the way that the Google phone call. So let's see. Okay, we got another call coming in. Okay, we got 518 calling in. Who's calling? What's on your mind? Welcome to the show.
Hey, Stormy, it's Kieran calling. K-Rod calling.
Hey, what's happening, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I had a great night last night, and life is doing good for me.
Good. Yeah. We're having this show, man. We're talking about Usyk. Is he an all-time great or no? Your thoughts on that?
Oh, man, I got a lot to say. I don't know if I'm right, but I just want to put it out there. I would say, by the way Usyk moved in his career, I would say yes. But as far as how he got there, I wish that he did it a little bit harder in his career. I think Olexsander Usyk's resume at cruiserweight wasn't really needed at that division. I think that Usyk would have been better if he started out at heavyweight and he could just do everything, effectively to fight, like, let's just say Deontay Wilder, Luis King Kong Ortiz, all the big, up-and-coming heavyweights at that time. And I think Alexander's resume would be far more greater. But as far as like where it's at now, I think it's pretty solid. But just as far as how he got there are question marks, and I didn't like how anybody wasn't telling Usyk to go fight these tougher names sooner, versus he just kind of took a little bit of like an easy route to kind of get to where he's at. So that's my whole position on that.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I think, and I got a strong feeling about this, is this. Is he the best of this era? Possibly. Yeah. And he's defeated two of the three top names from this particular era. Triple D is not one of those two. It's Fury and AJ. The other would be Wilder. He hasn't faced Wilder and hasn't shown any interest in facing Wilder. But as we go forward, there are fighters whom, again, even if he had faced a few of these others, I try to stress to everyone to understand that there are no monsters of this era. If you go back to the 90s heavyweights, there were monsters all through the division. Monsters. Some of them even made their way to a title. Some of them prevented people from winning titles. So it's like, it's really interesting when you have a mixture of that. Even if you go back to the previous era of the 70s and the early 80s, there were not still enough of those guys that I could put Usyk in a class that he could defeat those guys. One heavyweight in particular, and no one would ever think about this. Leon Spinks. Leon Spinks, who defeated Muhammad Ali. That fighter right there would give Usyk all he could handle. Did you hear me, K-Rod?
Yeah, I was actually going to agree with that, and I would say if you even had like a fighter like, let's just say Riddick Bowe or Ernie Shavers in this current age, I think Usyk, he'd probably get knocked out.
Yeah. Oh yeah, when you talk about when you talk about guys like Riddick, no, you mentioned Riddick Bowe. Riddick Bowe, his era. Don't forget, in Riddick Bowe's era, you do include Holyfield, Lewis, Tony Tucker, Tony Tubbs, Buster Douglas. There's an assortment. Razor Ruddock. You know, it's like Bone Crusher Smith. Michael Dokes. Dude, I'm sorry, but yeah, there's some pretty damn badasses from the 90s. You understand? Michael Moorer. I already talked about Ray Mercer and Tommy Morrison earlier in the show. These are the type of fighters that guys like Holyfield had to go through these men. You know what I'm saying? And Holyfield, when he was at cruiserweight, he had to take on the likes of Dwight Muhammad Qawi. I mean, really? Carlos De Leon. These were real fighters. These weren't cupcakes. You know? So some of the people of today, they just want to jump the gun and be like, okay, he's the all-time great now. And I tell you, I've been listening because I purposely listen to like the guys over in the UK on their talk shows and stuff like that. Man, they're singing this guy's praises like other fighters have never existed. Do you realize that Larry Holmes was heavyweight champion of the world for 7.5 years and had 20 title defenses? 20! Ali didn't even have 20 title defenses in one string. So it's an insult to the intelligence of a real boxing mind to be like, okay, yeah, this guy, he just supersedes everyone else. Lennox Lewis, he would never get past Lennox Lewis. Never. And though Lewis had a couple of, decisions with Holyfield that didn't go well because he's a bigger and stronger man than Holyfield, he won the first fight. He should have been given that decision. The second fight was a lot closer, though. But he should have been given the first decision that they called a draw. He should have been given that first decision over Holyfield. And he would have rematched Holyfield because that's the kind of competitive fighter that Lennox was. But once he got the decision in the second fight, he figured like, okay, I don't want to fight Holyfield no more. And I can understand that. But trying to get Usyk in there against those men like that, please.
Yeah, I agree. I think Olexsander Usyk knew what the risk was, and I really wish that he just went up to heavyweight a lot sooner because, like, if you took Tyson Fury out the picture of fighting Wilder, would you agree, let's just say if Usyk wanted Deontay Wilder then, and that turned out to be, let's just say, like a 3-fight or maybe like a 4-fight type of thing, do you think that's a better, that's a better development for Usyk's resume, for him to go after all the big names when he was actually like more fresher in his prime versus like him trying to carefully move, to the direction that he's at right now in his career?
Well, I personally believe that the whole stigma of what set things off track in the heavyweight division was Jack Reese's decision in the first Wilder-Fury fight. Wilder knocked that man out in the 12th round. And not only did it take away a victory from Wilder, it took away an awesome ending and conclusion to a fight. It also took away some excitement for American heavyweight representation and everything. And it offset things to a degree that maybe Usyk doesn't even try to go for the heavyweight division. It does because, he was still in cruiserweight at that time. So it's like there's some things that really don't align very well. And when I say that what Reese did, remember, Fury was out. He got down on his knees over Fury and yelled at him a count until Fury, whose eyes were already open, but he was unconscious. Jack could have waved the fight off right there. It's the 12th round. He's in against the most dominant puncher in the sport of boxing. And it's you know he's literally out of it. But when Fury got up late in that count after this man is yelling in his face and he let him continue, the fight ended and they called it a draw. That man was the heavyweight champion of the world. There was nothing that Fury did in that fight to take his title from him. They called it a draw. Cheating. And when they decided that they were going to let this man fight a rematch, meaning let Fury fight a rematch, they were not going to go into that rematch without having other things aligned in their favor. And that's how they got rid of Wilder. And there are pundits around the sport of boxing who saw this, witnessed everything, and will not stand in truth and justice and admit to what went down. And that's one of the things that I'm forever unforgiving to all of those bastards. Because you know what? If it had been someone that they like or support or whatever, maybe they would say something, maybe they don't. Because we got a lot of cowards out here. But I will always say that Wilder knocked that man out in their first fight in the 12th round. And it would have made Wilder a superstar having done that. Just like in the second fight, after even cheating Wilder, they made statues for Fury. But if you didn't respect his boxing ability and all that, you never thought he was any really good or anything, why are you making statues? Why are you celebrating Fury having a victory over him, even though he cheated? And then why are you bringing dead-ass Larry Merchant from the damn graveyard to sit on Fox, on the PBC broadcast and start talking shit? Because he held a 30-year grudge from Larry Holmes, what Larry Holmes told him years ago. And the HBO can kiss where the sun don't shine. See, those people are unforgiving. That's why you should be unforgiving. When you recognize and you know what history is, so you don't fall into the pitfalls of what has become before you. And I'm constantly talking about this.
Can I talk?
Yeah. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Okay. I wanted to basically wait.
No. When you hear my silence, I'm finished. Go ahead.
No, because it makes me feel like that you're like about to be like, man, I don't like I don't know, like I feel like every time that you do that, like it's kind of like as if like you're gonna have like a massive, like a massive loud speech or something. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree. I just don't like how Usyk moved in that whole setup, and I wish Deontay Wilder was given a overturned victory for the Fury first fight, and Jack Reese, he should have been sued and taken out of the sport, and that is fraud by nature. I think Deontay Wilder, he should have been out. He should have been on top after the Fury first fight. He should have needed to fight Fury, and I think him and Usyk should have fought at that time frame. And then, however that went down, him and Usyk could just meet each other for undisputed for the heavyweight division.
Yeah, I agree. I want to say salute to Junior the Truth, who's out there in the chat. Yeah, listen, man. For like with the Reese and Fury thing, and I focus in on the first fight because they did it. They cheated Wilder in the second fight, and they cheated him in the third fight as well. It was freaking ridiculous of what they did to Wilder. But there were a couple of fights even around that time that Jack Reese refereed where I watched him when a guy got hit with a couple of shots and was shaken up, and he jumped in and waved the fight off. The guy didn't even hit the freaking canvas. And so you're looking at Fury laying there unconscious, but his eyes are open. Why didn't you wave that off? And I saw a guy go down in a Jack Reese refereed fight, and the guy hit the canvas and he waved it off. I'm like, there's so much inconsistency here. This is why I say the things I say. I'm not just saying like, oh, I got an axe to grind with Jack Reese. I'm talking about the consistency of how fights are officiated. And when you talk about someone like Usyk, like Junior said, with only 8 heavyweight fights, how is he an all-time great? In 8 fights at heavyweight, he hasn't even fought the type of opposition that Holyfield fought at heavyweight. And if I go down the list of 8 fighters that Holyfield fought at heavyweight, there's not a fighter that Usyk has fought that is as good as that fighter. We could start with Buster Douglas. Then we could go to George Foreman. Then we could go to Burt Cooper. We could go to Riddick Bowe 3 times. Lennox Lewis 2 times. Ray Mercer. Then Holyfield also fought Mike Tyson 2 times. Michael Moore 2 times. And there was someone else that I'm forgetting. But that's 8 people right there. 8 people. And one of them he fought twice. 2 of them he fought 3 times. No, 2 of them he fought twice. Tyson and Moore. He fought them twice. And then the other 2 he fought 3 times. No, Lennox he fought 2 times as well. So 3 people he fought 2 times. And, Holyfield was just a machine. You're trying to say Usyk is as good as Holyfield just because he came up from the cruiserweight division too? Could the guys that he fought at cruiserweight beat the guys that Usyk fought at cruiserweight? There's a lot to be said here, man, especially when you know the sport.
Yeah, I agree.
And this is not even a thing. Well, Stormy's on there cooking against Usyk. No, I'm cooking against the sentiment that this man is an all-time great when he has not been in the thick of the battle to be considered that way. Is he the best of this era? Possibly. And I say possibly because there's still a couple of guys he hasn't fought. He hasn't fought Wilder. He hasn't fought Zhang. He hasn't fought Parker. You know what I'm saying? And those are guys who at one point in time had a hand on the titles. He hasn't even fought Ruiz. And I'm going to tell you something. Andy Ruiz Jr., the way that he boxes and the fast hands that he have, he would possibly give Usyk a hard fucking time. Not now necessarily because he's been so inactive. But if you think about the talent of what he brought to the table, remember, Andy Ruiz, a few years back, when Evander Holyfield spoke about him when he was getting ready to fight Anthony Joshua for the first time, Holyfield spoke of Ruiz and said, hey, he's the reason that I retired from boxing. Because I was in the gym working with that kid and he was hitting me 8 ways from Sunday. He was like, and when you can't get out of the way of punches, it's time to hang it up. That's what Evander Holyfield said about Andy Ruiz Jr. That's one of the biggest compliments that you can get. You don't hear about Moses Atuma running anybody out of the damn gym, do you? But you hear everybody talking about his potential and how great he is and how much is, he's going to be like Tyson and this and that. If you don't get the hell out of here with all of that stuff, because we know that the UK guys, they just fall in love with everybody. The next man up is the best man up. That's their thinking over there. Well, I'm sorry. You got to do that in the ring. I'm not giving you a crown. You can get one of them Burger King crowns, the little paper ones that you wear on top of your head when you go to Burger King. But you ain't getting a real crown until you've done some things. Go ahead, K-Rock.
Yeah, I agree. What really gets me upset from a lot of people that hype up fighters that are not good in the sport is that they like I don't know if you hear that like one term that people like to spread around, like generational talents, right? I don't know if you can agree with me, but I don't believe generational talents exist at all in boxing. I think that if you put in like the hard work, regardless if you're young or old, depending on how old that you start, you will be a great fighter if you have all the tools to get there. That does not mean that if you are born out of a particular family that was legendary, that was like a legendary name in the sport, and therefore you being a part of that family automatically makes you a great fighter. That's not true. Like, take a look at Nico Ali Walsh. Everybody hypes him up, and it's like he's not good at all. But yet they will say stuff like that in order to gaslight fighters to think that they're good. And then the minute they get taken out by tougher opposition and they get lit up more by other fighters, it's just kind of like a cycle where people just throw fighters out, and then they kind of like put them in that false sense of security to say, well, they were good, but they just didn't work hard enough. But but they are still generational talents of some sort. But it's like, no, it's like if you don't put in like the hard work to be where you are, then hard work will always be talent, as talent does not work hard. And I don't know if you follow basketball, but don't you remember when Kevin Garnett in the past with the Boston Celtics said that if you put in all the hard work to get to where you're at, your big dreams will be like accomplished. But for those that don't put in that work, but yet they're still dreaming like about it, they don't get there. I think of that in boxing, and I think like that's concurrent within all sports and just in life in general. If you know that you have big accomplishments that you want to get up to, then you have to put in that hard work to be there if you want to see your dreams come true. But if you don't do that, then those dreams will be crushed as you're sitting in the background, like giving yourself lies to not get to that level.
Yeah. Well, like I said, just to be able to point out, but it doesn't say a lot for the guys of this era either. If you look at Fury and AJ and Triple D to a lesser degree, what are their accomplishments? Fury and AJ never even fought each other. How about that? Those two have never even fought each other, and they're at the end of their careers now. And they were right there in front of one another at one time and could be representing the best of the UK. But they didn't do it. Why? Such foolishness. And when you think about when Fury defeated Klitschko in their fight, Klitschko had a rematch. And Fury weaseled himself out of the rematch with Klitschko. And he had popped dirty also. So, that's something that people shouldn't forget. He popped dirty, which is why the belts got stripped away from him. So even though Vladimir wanted to continue and get his get back against Fury, he was never able to do it because Fury cheated him. And this is how things closed out. AJ never wanted to fight Fury. They talked a good game of like, oh, when I see that dude, I'm going to beat him and this and that. But it was never really in the cards for those two to face one another. The deception. And now, even now, the UK people are talking like those two got to get it on. They need to fight. And no, they don't. They don't need to fight. I'm not dying and chomping at the bit to see that. I don't even think the real UK people are chomping at the bit to see that, because if anything, they're starting to learn and starting to grow through the sport being international and you're able to see so much stuff. Guys like Fury and AJ, they should have fought when they were more prime fighters. They're roughly around the same age. If anything, I think Fury might be a little younger than AJ, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. But it's just really weird of how things have come, and you know, you don't get the fights that you should get. Fury fought Chisora 3 times. Why? Why didn't he fight AJ? Or why didn't he fight someone more formidable, like a Joseph Parker or something like that? He fought a guy that is pretty much washed. How long has been Derek Chisora been washed? A very long time. And they kept throwing all these difficult fights in front of Wilder. Wilder has to fight guys like King Kong 2 times. He fought Joseph Parker, who had 5 fights, and Wilder hadn't had 1 fight in 2 years or something like that. And then he fought Zhilei Zhang, where he went into that with injuries and everything, but he still fought the man who was very dangerous. And it's like Zhang and Hrgovic were AJ's responsibilities when he held those belts. I think Hrgovic had been a #1 contender for that belt for a long time, the IBF, and AJ wouldn't fight him. But when you mention Hrgovic's name to AJ, he would say stuff like, "Oh yeah, when I get that guy, I'm gonna smoke him," and this and that. It's like talk, but you ain't trying to get him in the ring. You cannot convince me that if Wilder wasn't a unified champ, let alone an undisputed champ, that he would be fighting the next man up. He would not be looking toward a guy just because he wants to have an easy touch or whatever. Easy touches are okay from time to time, but when you have a real champion who wants to step in and go at it because he has a competitive nature and spirit, a warrior type spirit, that's what people pay to see. But you had Hearn over there in Matchroom. They all in AJ's pockets, all in his mind, and everything got him signing a damn lifetime deal. A lifetime of what? Enslavement? Because you're not out there fighting in the ring. He lost to Triple G, and it's almost September again. And now they try to say, well, he has some injuries. He had to have surgery or whatever. That's bullcrap. AJ ain't had no damn surgeries. AJ ain't been injured. His pride, his ego maybe. Because nobody forgets about when he told and threatened Daniel Dubois sitting in that face-to-face, "Oh, don't disrespect me. I'll hit you in the face with this chair," and all of that. And Dubois told him, "Who you trying to intimidate? Who you think you are?" Next thing you know, AJ is flopping around on the canvas like a fish out of water. But yeah, go ahead, K-Rod, if you got something you want to offer.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for me. I just also wanted to just chime in like a little bit about Clarissa and Xander last night. They both did amazing, and both of those fights were awesome. But thank you for having me on. I don't want to hold I don't want to hold up the line if anybody else wants to call in, so I'll just go back and silence via chat.
Okay, I appreciate your call, man. You hadn't called in a while, so it's good to talk to you. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Stormy.
All right, thank you. Take care. Bye.
Sure. Bye.
All right, that was K-Rod. He hadn't called in a while. Good to hear him and his talking points. The line is still open. I'm not ready to shut everything down just at this moment, but anybody want to call in and give their 2 cents on this whole thing about Mr. Olexsander Usyk being an all-time great. I don't necessarily feel that way, but some of you may. So, you know. Let me step away from the mic for one quick moment, people. One quick moment. Okay, I'm back. So if we got someone that wants to call in, the call-in line is still open. Quan Big Guns, you want to call in? TD, Sports Talk. Thomas, why don't you call in, brother? Let's have a conversation before we wrap things up. Yeah. Okay, we got 347 in the building. Who's calling? What's on your mind? Welcome to the show.
How you doing?
Who you doing? Who we got?
This is Thomas from the Bronx.
Hey, Thomas. I didn't hear you at first. How you doing? Yeah. What's good with you, man? How you feeling today?
What's going on, Story? I said let me call on real quick. I got the radio in about a half hour, so let me call because I was at the fights last night.
Yeah.
And I could be biased towards my Puerto Rican fighters, but I always call it for what I see it. I'm pretty realistic. But when I am biased, I'll say I'm biased just to maybe just be a jerk. But at the end of the day, I call it the way I see it. And Xander looked good in moments, but I thought the fight was much closer than what the scorecards were. People looked at me like I was funny and like, what are you talking about? I thought he faded in the second half, and Chino, got stronger as the fight went on. Mm-hmm. And Xander was holding a little bit too much. I like the fact that Xander was trying to box a little bit too. I learned a couple things for Xander last night that I kind of knew already, but it kind of confirmed it to me, in my opinion, just by having a ringside view and seeing the punches that he did land. Xander really can't punch. That's what it is. Like he's a 154. He can't as punch like people think he can, because he was hitting him with some clear shots, and that might have stopped anybody. But Kino was taking it well, and like it was nothing at some point. So I just wanted to get your assessment, as I gave mine, of what you thought of the fight, because a lot of people thought that Xander did win by a big margin, but I thought it was much closer.
He won by a sizable margin. However, he gets hit a little bit too clean for my taste, and for a guy that was not that technical. What we could see from what's his name, Garcia. What we could see is that he's a guy that throws looping shots and shots that he could catch you at the end and things like that, and he could be dangerous and stuff like that, but his footwork was really bad, and Xander really exploited that. And it was one of the reasons why I kind of went in on Conwell so much when they fought, because I was like, Charles, you can beat this guy easy. What are you doing? And I was so angry. Yeah. I remember my post-fight show, I was kind of on Charles Conwell's case to the point that I said, man, I don't even want to see you fight no more if you're going to go out there like that, because you're supposed to be levels above this guy. and you give the fight away to him. And then he fought with no urgency to try to close the fight or turn it around. What Xander was able to do, Xander was able to exploit all of the guy's weaknesses, the looping shots, the bad footwork, and the fact that he is willing to take a shot to give a shot. Well, Xander thrived in that element because he had the faster hands, the better feet, and he could judge the distance better. So he negotiated all of that in his own favor quite well. But he gets hit too clean. You can't get hit clean like he's getting hit clean in that fight by guys who can crack and guys who have experience to set shots up. Because if a guy, like if you remember during the Shushu fight, they were talking about Shushu early on, how he was throwing these feints at Hayter, and he would do a certain kind of feint, and it's like he's taking a picture. He's like he could remember that a round or two later and come back and hit him with this other shot off of that feint. Yeah. Well, the person can do the same thing to Xander. You see, I hit him with that shot, and he didn't move. So I know when I can catch him like that, I can set him up with something else by making him look over here that I'm really trying to do something here and come back to that shot and really nail him and put him in jeopardy. You see, and that's the thing. But yeah, he looked good, and I don't think it was close, but I think that there were a couple of rounds that, Garcia, he looked okay. He did, but not enough to make a difference. Not enough to make a difference.
Okay, that's fair. I thought in the second half, like especially 8, 9, and 10, I thought Xander took 2 rounds off clearly. Like the first half he was moving, he took 2 rounds off. So I thought Chino won like 3 rounds in a row, 8, 9, and 10, and I think he won the 12. So that's 4. And then there was an early round in the fight that I gave him of the first 7, because in the first 7 Xander dominated in my opinion, and he hurt him. I think it was the 7th round he really hurt Chino, and I was like, okay, maybe we might see it. But credit to Chino, and he's a tough fighter. He's very awkward. He throws punches from weird angles. And he was tough, man. And I felt like he got stronger as the fight went on. So,
he's definitely a tough man.
He took a shot pretty well too.
Yeah, he's definitely a tough man, and he definitely, like what you just indicated, he did take some good shots. And I do believe he is a 12-round fighter. He's not, but the thing is like, he has to get to a point where his punches are clean and effective, because he threw some shots, but some of those shots weren't clean. It was strong, but maybe he needs a little more help in his gym with coaching, because he's a guy that has something, but he was just in there with a guy that was athletically able to challenge him with ease, let's just say.
Yeah.
But also I noticed something else about Xander is this. Xander can't crack an egg, man.
Yeah, that's what we learned. And I kind of learned that earlier on a few fights ago. And one of my boys here in the Bronx, and he does content too, he was telling me, he's like, he's not it, because Puerto Ricans, we're very prideful, and we always want the next big thing. Any little sign of it, we think is the next part of greatness. I think that's just something that we do, especially here in New York. We see a little bit of Erlanger, we think like he's the goods. Not me, by the way, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Like Matias, they love Matias. We always looking for something, and we got spoiled by fighters like Cotto and Trinidad, who were great. I mean. And they gave us great performances. We're looking for the next Cotto and Tito so bad that we want to crown them already, and we gotta wait. So we gotta be honest with ourselves and just assess it for what it is. And he was telling me, like, this guy can't crack, and I was just like, let me see. I would like to see him hook to the body more, because he does better damage to the body, but he's like not it. But I think last night proved that he can't really crack an egg, like you said. Now he's only 22. He hasn't really got his man strength out yet. I think he struggled to make 154. I don't know if 154 is in his future. He didn't look good at the weigh-in my opinion. You know, so maybe he may want to move up, but I don't want to see him in there with a Virgil Ortiz. And if they make that fight, they better not put it in New York because, you know, there's going to be a lot of people like me crying.
Yeah.
Because I don't think
well,
he could be Virgil Ortiz.
the other thing too is to teach him how to work the body better, because I believe had he got in a little bit more body work, then he could have had Chino in trouble, because he you know, he was there to be hit with certain stuff. And I don't like to see fighters fall in love with headshots.
Yeah.
When you recognize that you can nail a guy on the chin, you shouldn't just go, you know, head hunting. You should look to set that up by now going to work a different place in space and then come back to that. It's just like with Clarissa's fight last night. She was so freaking right hand happy, man. You would have thought that someone had chopped off her left. It was like she was just, you know, and I don't like to see that out of any fighter. I don't. The only time I want to see that from a fighter is it goes back to that fight where Deverenchenko fought Christian and Billy a little over a year ago. I think it's been almost 2 years now. It's been a little over a year ago when something happened with his left, and then he had to primarily fight with one hand for most of the fight. And he did very well with one hand, and it was amazing that Billy wasn't able to take advantage to the degree that you might think he should, with noticing that Deverenchenko wasn't able to use both hands. But I you know, and it's funny because I've been in the gym and we've seen guys do drills and stuff working with one hand, and then here it is, it happens in a fight, and the other guy don't know what to do. It's kind of crazy, but yeah, he needs to, you know, get more adept at working the body, because his hand speed is good.
Yeah.
His hand speed is very good. The jab looks like it could be better, because I'm an advocate of the jab being an educated jab, meaning that you use it in different ways. He's fast with his hands, but you need to learn how to set that up, because just flicking a jab or shooting a jab out there at the same speed and all of that, that's, you know, an experienced fighter can take that away from you. But when it's an educated jab, the experienced fighter has to be very observant and leery, because that jab is not just being used offensively, it's being used defensively, it's being used to ward off, it's being used to poke and probe, it's being used to set something else up that's coming behind it, you know, those kind of things. And when you have a fighter who is capable of understanding that and implementing that in the offensive aspect of their fight game, they become very dangerous. And I would use that same critique for Shushu, because he experienced a great deal of similarness in his fight with that gentleman that he was fighting, and he needs to be able, his hand speed is good. I don't think his power is bad, but I do believe he doesn't set the shots up, you know, because speed is power. Yeah, speed is power. And when you set the shots up, it's like it's the shot that a guy don't see. That's what knocks him out. Not that you punch so hard, because if a guy could still, you could be the hardest puncher in the world. A guy could see the punch coming and still brace for it. You know what I mean? But it's the shot they don't see. And bam, you caught him. That shot came from down low or whatever. It's like, whoa, I'm in trouble. I'm hurt. You know, that kind of thing. And that makes a difference in the fight. That's why a lot of these promoters, and like especially Frank Warren, I hate to hear him talk, because he says stuff, oh man, he's a good fighter, and boy, he can punch. That's all he says. It's like, punch. Does he think in there? Is he able to, you know, move and use his mind? It's like, come on, fighters are more than just brutes, you know? That's why there's levels to this.
You're right. I've been very critical of Shushu, because, you know, I like Shushu. I think he's the best talent in New York. But he's developed some bad habits in the last 3 or 4 fights where he wants to fight. He doesn't want to box.
Yeah.
And if anybody knows Shushu, seen him in the amateurs and seen him in the young days, the guy can really box. He's got hand speed. but he hasn't really showed. He's got a good jab, but he hasn't used it. He's just coming in there with a high guard, and he's coming in there he wants to fight you. And I'm telling you, I've seen Shushu, and I know he can box, and I don't know what he's waiting for, but he's developing these bad habits. I talked to a guy that knows him from the Cops and Kids program, and he said, yes, I agree. We support Shushu. I love Shushu, but yeah, these bad habits are no good, as a fighter, because you're not going to go back to what you used to do all of a sudden like that, So he was telling me, and he also used to, he was an amateur fighter. He didn't go pro, but, he's from the same program, in the Cops and Kids program that they have in Brooklyn, and that's a very good program, by the way. Not a lot of people talk about it, how they got kids off the streets and got them into boxing, but, but back to the point of Shushu, I thought he could have done some good body work. He hurt him to the body, I think, in the third or fourth round. And I spoke to one of the trainers here in the Bronx. I don't know if you heard of Eric Kelly. He's a little crazy individual out here. He's a trainer. He came up with Andre Ward. They're really good friends. And, and then he got into an accidental fight and messed up his eye. But he was saying the same thing. He's like, yeah, he's got to go to the body more. He hurt him. And, I love Shushu. I mean, he's going to have to do that if he fights that Espinoza guy. He's like 6 feet something, and what's funny is that, BBO came out here from Cleveland, and, and I hooked him up, and, he was there ringside, and he was like, that guy's a 126-pounder? And I was like, because Espinoza was there, and I was like, yeah. He's like, how the hell? So, if Shushu fights these guys, he's going to have to learn to go back to what he's known for, and boxing a little bit, set the shots up, and maybe go to the body a little bit more against those taller guys.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you, a guy who can box can always fight, right? Try to fight. Mm-hmm. But a guy who can fight can't always box. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you need to optimize what your versatility is and work within that framework. Somebody is trying to, I can tell by watching him, somebody's in Shushu's ear about telling him, yeah, man, you can knock these guys out or whatever, this or that. Man, just be a master boxer who can catch a guy sleeping, and then you take advantage of those openings. Sweet Pea Whitaker was a perfect example of that. Man, that man would win 11 out of 12 rounds, 10 out of 12 rounds. And he could still knock people out, but he liked just outboxing them because he said that when you win the rounds like that, 11 out of 12 or 10 out of 12, what can the guy who loses say? You know what I mean? He could say, oh, if you knocked him out, oh, I got caught, I forgot to duck, this or that, But when you done lost all them damn rounds, that's a wash. It's like, okay, you not on his level. You can't compete with him. And Sweet Pea relished that mindset in fights. He loved to go and make somebody look bad. And then if somebody called themselves trying to turn it up against him, he would do certain things because people didn't know he can punch like he could with body shots, especially in the body. Sweet Pea was one of the best body punchers of his era and hurt people to the body. If you go back and listen to this interview that Buddy McGirt gave, Buddy McGirt talks about that a lot. He says, man, Sweet Pea was one of the best body punchers I was ever in the ring with. People might not look at him like that, but he was definitely a hell of a body puncher. If you go back to the fight that he had against Felix Trinidad, when Trinidad was having some good moments against him, he opened up with some body shots on Trinidad that had Trinidad doubling over and everything. It looked like he was getting ready to go down because Sweet Pea was banging him to the body. Dude, the crowd started getting into it and everything. They was like, whoa, look at Sweet Pea. He's like banging Felix to the body, and Felix was like stumbling over and stuff. Listen, I'm telling you.
You know what? It's funny. I remember that fight, and Sweet Pea. I don't know if you know this. I would tell you, Sweet Pea's my favorite fighter of all time. That's like always my favorite.
No, I didn't know.
So, and I love Tito. So when they fought each other, that was just like tough to me. But that fight, the scorecards were ridiculous. That fight was a lot closer than what the judges had. It was ridiculous. But of course, in Madison Square Garden, Tito's fighting. He's gonna most likely get the call, no matter what. No matter how close it is. You know what I'm saying? So. But yeah, I remember that fight with Pernell. And Pernell even thought he won. I didn't think he won, but Pernell said, it's another robbery, Because I know definitely he beat De La Hoya in that fight.
He beat De La Hoya.
Hoya.
I think by the time he fought Trinidad, though, I think some of his outside of the ring problems was catching up to him a little too strong. Like he was supposedly had a little bit of a substance problem and then also the drinking.
Yeah.
So, which again, I didn't know those things until they were spoken of later, but it definitely showed during the fight. But what's interesting
it was 2 years.
is
He didn't fight in 2 years before Trinidad. Like,
right.
2 years off, and the fight before that was a no contest because they said they found like cocaine in the system.
Yeah.
So, which is crazy, by the way, because I know a lot of fighters that have fought fights on cocaine and never got caught. But that's maybe another story for another day.
Right. And it just goes also to show like what the internet does now, because if we had internet back then, some of his stuff would have been exposed a lot earlier,
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, definitely a great fighter and an example to use for what we're talking about Shushu.
Yeah. Yeah, I love Shushu. I mean, I think we're not going to find out how good he really is until he fights one of the champions. And they don't want to fight him. He tried to make a fight with Nick Paul. Nick Paul refused. And then Espinoza, I guess he refused. But I think now they're going to really try to make it because they're both top ranked, so it should be easy. But he didn't want to fight before that. So now he has, he called him out again. So, and they had Espinoza there, so which was, the first time I think he's been there. So we'll see. Because I really like Shushu. I think he's a good kid. He has a great story too. I got to interview him. I got to talk to him a few times. He's a really humble, nice kid. He left New York to go to Vegas, which I thought was genius to get away from the shenanigans out here. But I really enjoy the kid, and I want to see him do great. So I'm a fan of Shushu because that's the home team. And his story is just very great. With his mom and his pops, and they were separated, but they both in his life. And they established a good relationship all the way through. So. And then his brother, being shot, and at a young age, and that kind of messed him up at a young age, and and then the Cops and Kids program, that was there for him. So he's a great story. If anybody, they got a story on him too. If you go, like he tells a little bit at, I forgot what it's, something Brownsville, and it's pretty cool, and it tells a story, and you might fall in love with Shushu even more just with the story and just what he had to come, go through, so. I like to see him succeed. New York hasn't really had the big fighters in a while. We kind of claim all the Puerto Ricans that come here. Even the Dominicans now, there's a lot of Dominican fighters now coming and getting more exposure. Jan Santana, I don't know if you got the chance to look at him last night. He looked good. He looked like he was having fun in the ring a little bit. He fought a guy that's been in 32 fights, and a guy that almost beat Angelo Leo. So he made it. He made it look easy. I was expecting him to stop him, but. He didn't really need to do that. So, I was impressed with Jan, and I like his attitude and his mindset, as a good kid. And of course, I got to admit, I'm a little biased because I'm good friends with his manager, so, but, I don't know if you got to see it. I'll just see what you think on
I watched
Jan
him.
Santana.
I thought he looked pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he looked pretty good. He was strong in there. Want to see a little more,
Yeah.
It's just interesting that a lot of guys, they keep talking about this thing with power. I would rather fighters develop aptitude, mentality, the mental aspect of the sport to know what you're experiencing in the ring. Because if you have a strong mind, if your mind and your convictions are aligned in a proper way, and you train your body, you'll be able to do more things, and you'll be able to impress beyond your wildest dreams. A lot of these guys haven't understood that and haven't come into that because, first of all, it's not being taught anymore. It's not being taught.
Yeah.
And second of all, even those who get through a certain point of life experience, whether it's in the ring a combination of in and out of the ring or something of that nature, the psyche is very important to be strong. It's very important to be focused. It's very important to be dialed in. And there are so many distractions for fighters. It's ridiculous. I could see a lot of guys not making or maxing their optimum potential or whatever as a result of these distractions. I could just see it. It's one of the reasons why I remain very critical.
I'll give you one example. I mean, the guy that we talk about every now and then and kind of make fun of him, but a guy that was a good talent and didn't take it seriously, because I know personally, because I know guys that work with him. Chris Colbert, he doesn't live a boxer's lifestyle, and he's out and partying and doing all sorts of things. Moved to New Jersey and just partying. And let me tell you, when he got the first time he lost, because the first one he won, he got knocked down, and I thought he lost. But when the rematch, and that rematch that he had the week before the fight, he went to do a sparring out of nowhere. He called up a friend of mine in the Bronx and they sparred, and he did not look good. My friend told me he watched him. He did not look good at all. And you're not supposed to be sparring a week before the fight. And he's like, and he knew that he was going to get stretched. He knew he was going to lose. And and it's been downhill ever since that loss. He got knocked out that fight against Ryo, and then he got knocked out like in his next fight after that. And the word of the street is that the guy doesn't live a boxer's lifestyle, and he's out partying and doing all sorts of stuff that he shouldn't be doing. And he was supposed to be a good talent out of Brooklyn, but you gotta live a boxer's lifestyle. You can't it's okay to maybe take a week or two off, but you gotta always stay in shape. You gotta be disciplined. You gotta stay close to weight as possible if you can. Some of these fighters, they just they really don't want it. They want all the fame and the glory, but they don't want to do the work in the ring.
Right. Yeah, I've witnessed that, so I know exactly what you mean, man. But yeah, so.
This was great, Stormy. I appreciate you, having me on. I wanted to just give my takes on the fights and, an unbiased opinion, and then I get your feed and see if we're on the same page. And we kind of on the same page a little bit. I still thought the fight was a little bit closer, but, we both see the same things in Xander and in Shushu as well, So, and those are two guys I really root for. Like, and and back to what we talk about all the time. Don't be just fans of the fighters, fans. Well, I pretty much like everybody. Anybody knows me, I root for all that. Like, I like Chino. Like after that performance, what he showed me, like, I can root for that guy. And that's just me. I root for everybody. You won't see me. I won't call a fighter a bum. I don't like to do that. Unless they're T.O. But but I don't like to do that with fighters. Like, I like to give the respect to everybody and just root everybody on, because you build relationships with some of these guys outside, and you hear them talk and you hear some of their stories, and you kind of feel a little bit sentimental towards that too. So but I have my favorites, but at the end of the day, I am a fan of the sport overall, and I want to see everybody win. And not everybody can win. Unless they both put on great performances in the fight, even in the loss. But that's just the way it is. But
yeah,
that's just me. I want to see everybody do well and do great.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Your final thoughts on Clarissa? You wanted to say something about her fight as well, you said.
No, I have to watch it.
Oh, you haven't watched it yet?
I was at the fight, so I haven't seen that card yet. I want to see Tony Harrison. They said he looked good, but he got dropped, so I want to see how he looked too. So I'm gonna go watch it. It should be on the Zone, so I'll check that.
Yeah, I want to see her stop being so damn right hand happy. I know she probably has learned how to punch with power with that particular shot, because there was a time when she was slapping with it. She seems to be throwing it now with more torque and with a little something into it, but turning it over, so to speak. But she's got to get back to setting shots up too. I mean, just going out there throwing hard stuff at somebody. And listen, everybody is boxing. Ain't nobody scared of nobody in there. You ain't gonna be like winding up, and then somebody gonna be like, okay, let me lay down because you're throwing hard. You know, that ain't gonna happen. That girl came out the first couple of rounds and was moving, and then by the third or fourth round, she was stepping to Clarissa. Now that ought to tell you something. You understand? It's like it doesn't mean that the other person don't want to engage or whatever, but people have strategies and tactics and everything outside of you. It's like just because you might be the champ or be the A side or be the person of note or whatever, doesn't mean that the other person ain't bringing nothing. You know what I mean? So I'm constantly talking about that in different ways on the channel here, you know. So, but yeah. But at least when John David Jackson is done, he'll be able to say he had Clarissa Shields as, you know, someone he brought from, you know, through the sport of boxing professionally to the pinnacle of what her talents are or whatever. So at least he'll be able to say that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, she's definitely, you know, I mean, she's the GOAT for a reason, and you know, she's the best. I would like to see some matchups, but there's some intriguing matchups out there for her, but obviously at a lower weight. I would like to see her in. I'm going to see this performance, but I would love to see her how she would look against Shadeja Green. I really like Shadeja Green. I even want to see her in there with Michaela Mayer. Just to see how the styles would mesh, you know.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something.
You know,
Michaela is a better technical boxer. She is, and Al Mitchell has brought her, just like Mr. What I just said his name, John David, has done with Clarissa. Mr. Mitchell has done a tremendous job with Michaela, and Michaela. They robbed her of that fight against Natasha Jonas. She beat Natasha Jonas. That fight,
big time. That wasn't even close.
Yeah. They just served Natasha Jonas up after that to Lauren Price. But I'm telling you, damn it, she beat Natasha Jonas and beat her easily, convincingly to me. If that fight was held on neutral territory, she gets the decision.
Yeah. Yeah, the Alicia fight was close. I thought Mayer won the fight.
I did too. But see, what I'm talking about was the real tremendous robbery was the fight against Jonas, because they were trying to keep Jonas, you know, trying to keep her in the game, you know, trying to keep her thriving and everything. But the Baumgartner fight, that was a fight that not only was it so good, they should have had a second fight. But I felt the first fight, she should have edged it. I felt that Michaela should have edged it. And the only thing it did was make Baumgartner not fight certain people. That's all it did. Because she recognized that if she can't get somebody with a big shot or intimidating that fight, she ain't going to be boxing her way to victory. Michaela can box.
Yeah.
You know,
Alicia, you know, I like Alicia, but she didn't look good in this last fight. Now, mind you, she was out 2 years, but you know, the scorecards were there to be set for her to win no matter what. But that fight was a lot closer. Some people thought she lost.
Yeah. But that, Michaela's style against Clarissa, that would be interesting. And I think she did say she wouldn't mind her fighting her at 154, but she can't go up no higher than that.
But they're both big girls because, you know, I've seen them together because they're good friends. They get along great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Michaela and Clarissa, and they were at the fight with the all women's card. They were there, and I could have sworn they were about the same height, and they looked about the same weight too. So I mean, I got to look because I took a picture with Michaela at that fight, and she. You know, I'm short, but she looked way taller. She might have heels on or something, but I always seen her to be a little bit obviously taller than me, and about this. And I've met Clarissa multiple times and spoke with her, and they look like to be like the same weight and same height. So
you
know, maybe for money, maybe they everybody does it to make a good payday. Maybe she could move up to 160 at least and meet halfway.
Yeah.
Somehow, I don't know. I think that would be an intriguing fight. I like Shadeja Green. the way she works, the way I would love to see her and Clarissa fight. I think that's an intriguing matchup as well.
Yeah. So. Well, all right, Thomas, man, I appreciate you calling in, bro. I'm going to get ready to wrap this up so I can get myself some lunch and, maybe sit down and watch me a kung fu movie or something, because that's what I like to do when I have my spare time. And since I ain't going to be on with Drew this evening, I might be able to watch 2. So,
okay, yeah, and I don't have, I was going to do a show tonight, but we had to postpone it because I don't know if you know this, we do a show, Tales from the B-Side.
Yeah, I know your show.
It's basically, so we have these guys. So who we're going to have next, I already leaked it out there. We were supposed to be tonight, but we're going to move it later. I don't know if you know Ross the Boss Thompson. He's from like Buffalo, New York. He trained in Vegas with Mayweather, with Roger Mayweather. He's been in some fight. He lost to Vargas. I don't know if you remember when he slapped Vargas at the press conference, and then in the fight, Vargas, dropped him. He knocked him out, and Vargas tried to spit on him.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember. If you go back, you probably remember. But that's who we got. He's a little crazy, but he's got some stories. So it should be entertaining. He fought Kelly Pavlik, Montel Griffin, Superman Davis. He's been in the ring with a lot of guys, and he's got a lot of stories, even as a sparring partner. Because he told me a story about when Roger went to go fight Costa Zoo in Australia. So we're trying to do something a little different that nobody's really doing, and just bring some old heads up and tell us their stories, and and even some current fighters. So. But we're not having a show tonight, so we postponed it. So there's nothing going on. I was hoping Drew and you would be on, so I had something to do. I was going to have to come on and talk about the fights last night, but it is what it is. I may go live with somebody tonight and talk about the fights.
Yeah, ordinarily I would even try to fill a time slot for Drew or whatever, but I'm just coming back on Boxing Talk today with this because after last week's Danny Dubois debacle, I was really pissed off about that, man, because there was so much associated with that I did not like. And then as the week went on, all this other news about what he was doing and everything. I'm like, man, I knew there was a reason I felt a certain kind of way about that whole situation and performance and everything. But I let the airwaves let that breathe. I just pulled back and I started talking on some of my other content and stuff. So I'm back now, and if you notice, I ain't even talking about that stuff, but I'm going forward, moving ahead. But yeah.
No, I hear you. To see that was upsetting for me too. Like you just say, all you can really do is shake your head like that.
Yeah.
Like really?
Because I had put him in a place where I had given him consideration to have an opportunity and to know the things that have come to light. And to see what happened on the night and all of those other things that factor in, I'm like, really? I'm like, dude, you ever seen that Denzel Washington meme where he closed the door on the dude? It's like it's a meme of Denzel just slamming the guys talking to him, but he slams the door in his face. That's me on that Dubois. I'm just slamming the door like, man, get out of here. I just slam the door and keep it moving, man. So, but man, thanks for calling in, bro. You help make everything pretty cool with the conversation and everything. We're going to get ready to get on out of here. Let everybody enjoy their Sunday, man.
All right, bro. Well, you have enjoy the rest of your day, and I appreciate you having me on.
All right, man. You take care now.
All right, you too. Take care.
Peace. Yeah. So we've been on for a little bit now, you guys. 2 hours and a half. That's a little longer than I usually go, but at the same time, we had some good conversation. You know what I mean? So, but let's hear from my man, the Focus Ball, huh?
Get ready to take your striking game to the next level with the Focus Ball. Dramatically improved footwork, timing, head movement, hand-eye coordination, reflex, and overall fight IQ. It's lightweight and extremely portable, so you can train every time, everywhere. When you don't have a coach to do mitt work, get a Focus Ball. When you don't have a heavy bag to hit, get a focus ball. When you don't have a sparring partner, get yourself a focus ball. And when you just want to have fun punching and kicking, get a focus ball. When you train with the focus ball, you train your eyes and your brain to read punches so that you can hit and not get hit. Making this very simple device a must-have for all combat sports athletes and enthusiasts alike. So if you want to take your striking game to the next level, don't wait. Get the focus ball now.
Yeah, so as we come to the end of another Answering the Bell, our Sunday morning call in, it is now Sunday afternoon, and I thank everybody that came out to support. And I'm sorry I couldn't get to all of the calls because, you know, we had Drew on and we had to work that out so he could be heard. And then the brother Thomas came on and K-Rod made an appearance after not being around for a while. So it was we had a little bit going on today, and I appreciate everybody that participated and contributed. For those of you who were in the chat, Coach Hudson, Freedom's March, Champion's Heart, you guys that put your channel links out there, thank you so much for supporting Stormybman, and we can't wait to get back at it this week. So I want to say shout out to the mighty LDBC, you know, and we're going to get on out of here, but I hope that all of you enjoy the rest of your Sunday and just be looking for some more stuff, you know, coming, because, you know, that's why we do what we do. You know what I mean? We try to bring you some boxing content, and you notice I had this conversation today. This was not going at Usyk, it's questioning the consensus that he may be an all-time great when there is still yet a lot to be done. So with that being said, we're going to get on out of here. Thank you, Junior. Appreciate you being out there as well, brother. Thank you so much for your support. So we're going to head on out. You guys enjoy your Sunday, and we'll catch you next week for another Answering the Bell. Peace, everybody.
Jessica, get away from the, oh my God. Somebody help Jessica, please, she can't swim. Go help the Jessica, run! Jessica, no. Oh my God. No, Jessica. No, the water is pulling her back in. Where's the lifeguard? Lifeguard, hurry up. She can't swim. Jessica, no! Lifeguard, please save her! Yes, two lifeguards! Save her, no! Please, Jessica! Oh, look, hey! That husband is coming! Oh, do one of them dead! Jessica! Hey, please, save her! Jessica! They're coming now, they're here! Jessica,